Hello, everybody. We are live on Tuesday night, and we not only have a very special guest tonight, we are live from, drumroll, Buenos Aires, Argentina. He makes fun of me the way I say it, but how do you say it?
Argentina?
Yeah,
Argentina.
Buenos Aires. Am I doing it right?
Itis, yeah.
Aires. Yeah, I am speaking like a South Dakotan would say it. That's exactly right. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live, everybody. I am happy to see all of those steady, stable fans in the chat. Thanks for checking in. And I would love to know if you've ever been to a country in South America. It's my first trip to this continent, and I certainly wouldn't be here if it weren't for Walker Haber, my son. I have three sons. This is as my friend who does not have children refers to him. He says that you have thing one, thing two, and thing three, and this is thing two. Well, welcome back to the channel. This is his third time on the channel. We were looking at the first time was over a decade ago, and then about 18 months ago, I talked him into it, answering a few questions, and today we are celebrating 4 years of success in his college years. He has graduating in a few weeks from college, and his celebration was to pick a place that he wanted to go to, and mom and dad would go along. And we are at a very strange place, I think, a place I would not have picked myself. So I'm looking on the looking at the chat, just having seeing if anybody has ever been to a country that's in South America, specifically Argentina. But if you've been to anywhere in South America, we would love to know. So yes, I am, our show for tonight is Ask an Expert. So I'm going to ask some questions to Walker. He has a couple superpowers that I have tolerated as his mother. And I have learned that if I want to have a thoughtful conversation, I will learn more about these things he really loves. But there are plenty of places where I fall short, and so I'm going to ask him some questions. He has some questions for me that he hasn't asked me before, and some that my team have fed him, saying, you should ask your mom to answer this and see what she says. So we're going to do this. We're going to do every other one. As we do this, we are using a traditional Argentina drink, and we will tell you more about this at the end, but it is tradition to share this, so don't get grossed out, but this is, we learned last night, you're supposed to share it, and then you never say thank you until you're done. We'll tell you more about that at the end. All right, so I'm going to start out with the first question, and I will drink while he answers, and then he will drink while I answer. Okay, so first of all, yeah, 4 years of celebrating. You have worked really hard. Your dad and I are super proud of you. College is this micro play of life, and you've just done awesome, Walker. But tell me why. Why did you pick Argentina to come to look closer at for your celebration trip?
So just like Dad, I studied econ in undergrad. And I think Argentina is just a really cool microcosm. It's a super material-rich country, and they were one of the richest countries in the world at the turn of the 20th century. But they've had the most extreme presidents on either side, and most recently they elected a super libertarian president that's slashing all of the government entitlement programs. So they've gone from super rich to super poor to super rich to super poor. And so it's just like really interesting to see how the country works. You read a lot about it online. I read a book about it a couple of years ago about
Zahan.
Yeah, Peter Zahan. He likes it. He thinks it's cool. And
I did that one on audiobook just enough to ask you some smart questions. Like, Walker, would you like to talk to me? Oh, if I bring up that guy's name, that you would talk to me.
Yeah, I think it's a cool country. I was really curious to see what it looked like, and Mom and Dad said Mom took spring break off, so where do you want to go for spring break? And I thought it'd be a cool place to visit. So
when you look at the inflation rate, just a couple of metrics we looked over the last couple of years, like how many pesos to the dollar was it? Do that, share with the people what that equation was.
I think 2008 it was 1 to 5, so $1 for 5 pesos, and now on the street you can do $1 for 1,200 pesos. Right. So holding a peso was just kind of like burning money. And we were just talking to a taxi driver, and he says the last month's been the first time where the bank and the street are pretty close, because the government would basically fake the interest rate. They would fake the exchange rate. And so, like, if you go to a government-run bank, if they're going to say it's one thing, if you go on the street, it's way higher in price. And so it's finally kind of evened out where the economy's swinging back the other way. There's actually, everyone's excited about it. There's big protests tomorrow, so they said we can't go on certain streets because there's big government protests because the entitlement program's being cut. But yeah, it's a fun time to be in Argentina.
So let me be your mom for a little second here. So you, in college, you have 2 majors that you've acquired and then 2 minors that you've acquired. What are the 2 majors you've acquired?
Yeah, so I just done a kind of liberal arts stuff for pre-law, but I got a political science major and a econ major, and then the minors, I got a Spanish minor because I knew how to speak it, and so it was an easy way to get credits, and then a math minor because my dad said you needed to take math.
Yeah, you stayed in the family because you got a math minor, right? So if you look at the, like, one of the reasons you chose to come here is because you could speak Spanish, and we were here 24 hours ahead of you, and said, I can't wait to steal a couple brain cells and have you tell me what it is this guy's trying to say to me. So no, that's been very useful here, that if you're going to pick a place, that's nice that you can speak the language. But the economics of what has happened and what their leader has done has been what you've been completely, well, I would use the word Twitter patted, which is a little bit of inappropriate adoration of someone. But you are. What's his name again?
Javier Milei. Yeah, he's cool. We actually had a taxi every day that drove him before he was president. He said he has really goofy hair and like long sideburns, and he said he was on his way to an interview way before he was president. And you remember the guy from his goofy hair and his kind of the way he talks, which is super unique. But yeah.
All right. So as tradition, I've emptied the liquid. So grab our boiling water, and you're supposed to not get the leaves wet on top, but we already kind of messed that up. So just try fill it up, and then you can be the drink while I answer the question as we go to the next. All right, so now he's going to ask me a question. We have about 3 or 4 of these back and forth, and we will be taking questions tonight. So if you have questions for Walker or me, we will take questions at the end of this.
So I'm going to keep these close to my chest, see if I can stump you. Okay, the first one, most people here probably know who Grandma Rose is, with the topic of any way you can. The reason you got into this is because of Grandma Rose's cancer. So if Grandma Rose had not gotten so sick, do you think we'd have bread in our cupboard? Do you think we would have not done the transition to keto? Do you think you would have discovered keto or kind of not found it if Grandma Rose hadn't gotten so sick?
Oh, well, I have not had that question before. That's a good question. I want to say that yes, I would be a keto advocate. But, you know, the other day, about, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 months ago, I was rereading a couple of the chapters in Any Way You Can, and it took me right back to how snarky I was about the keto diet when I first found it. And as you know, my first decade of medicine was in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is filled with good people, but they also are the capital of multi-level marketing. So I had already banted away the number of fad diets. It had become a side sport of that's just not going to work. That's not going to work, and here's why. And that approach is what I had when I was, and I kind of forgot how adamant I was about this is not real. If this was real, I would know about it, which is so arrogant. But that was I can feel the arrogance when I was rereading some of those chapters. So there's maybe one parallel universe where I don't let go of the ketogenic diet. But what's impressive over the last, because 2015 is when I really leaned in, so we're a decade into this now, and I did true to character. I went all in. All chips are on the table when I said, oh my goodness, this really has science behind it, and I'm putting my mother's life on the line. So I've been here for a long time, and I'd like to think that I would have been able to see the science despite the emotional attachment that I had at the beginning. Because really, the longer I'm in the space, the better I really think we should have everybody in America eating like this. And you're welcome for not having bread in your cupboard as a child, or at least in the second half of your childhood. So you wouldn't get bread in your cupboard today. I don't think so. I think you'd still be in this position. This might have taken me a little longer without Grandma Rose being so sick. All right. So did you have your drink?
Oh, I haven't finished it yet.
You gotta have at least a little bit more. So because we're gonna tell you how we feel at the end. We got the cultural ritual last night when we went to a tango lesson, um, which is one of my questions, but not the next question. All right. So my next question for Walker is another kind of cultural question, but it's not specific to Argentina. It is, you have been outside our family now for 4 years, living at college and home for just holidays. And I can remember the first escape I had off of the family farm to college. And I noticed my family did things strangely compared to other people. So, what do you think has, once you are outside the family, that you noticed our family did very strange or much different than the rest of the world?
Yeah, well, maybe the most obvious one is time is allocated differently. So most people I hang around, they center their day first around food. And so when it's noon, it's time to find a place to eat lunch. When it's 5, it's time to find a place to eat supper. When you wake up, it's time to find something for breakfast. And just not how I was raised, especially the last 10 years, where you don't eat till you're hungry and then you stop eating once you're full. And so sometimes when you're in college, it's harder to feel hungry because you're just like everyone always trying to get food with you, trying to go get food. And so we had different pastimes. I don't know, not as many people play card games as we did at home, and so I'm called an old man at the fraternity now because I play card games with my friends. I taught them all pinochle and stuff like that. But, yeah.
Oh, that's a great. I wonder how many people in the audience have ever played pinochle.
Yeah.
Like the first time we say it out loud to people, they're like, "Huh, pinochle, pinochle." It's a very good. It's a great game. So the ritual around games, yeah, our family did a little bit more, and that you had less a focus on food.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not. I don't know. Maybe that is strange. Anything else that? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, just a little more. Sometimes a strict upbringing. It was really annoying when I was in kindergarten. I hated going to bed at 7 p.m., but now my sleep habits are way different than everyone. It's hard for me to stay up past midnight, so I don't know. That's a good thing or a bad thing. Most of the time, it means I get 8 hours of sleep and get a good night's rest, and I don't know. Don't play video games as much as other kids, which is a good thing probably. And
Even if you're saying this for my benefit, you totally just gained social capital. So yeah, in middle school, when I was the mom who would volunteer for that, like Moms Against Drugs or what can things do to your brain? But I think one of my favorite stories to tell about Walker is he has been leading social tycoons of people since the first grade. He comes home, I think it's the second or third week in first grade, and he said, "Mom, we need to talk." And I said, "Oh, Walker, what's the matter?" And he said, "Alone." And so I'm like, okay. We go in the other room and I get down to his eye level. I'm like, "Tell me what's the matter, Walker." "Mother, I have polled everyone in my class and the kindergarten class, and I have to go to bed the earliest. This needs to change." And I'm like, "Oh, sweetheart, it is my job to be in charge of your brain at this point, and there is no negotiating this." I think that was your first debate.
yeah, maybe. But now it's good because now, I don't know, me and both the brothers, we all are good at going to bed on time and falling asleep, which is hard for other kids. I didn't realize it was hard for other kids still. You hang out with a lot of college and it's like kind of restless sometimes, and it's just not a problem we have. So thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Oh, he gets more social capital. Yeah, my favorite book to give to young mothers is a book called Baby Wise, On Becoming Baby Wise. And the subtext of the whole book is that learning to shut off your brain for sleep is a learned skill that your mom should teach you. And the guy who wrote it was actually one of my mentors for sleep science, and I owe him a lot of the expertise that I taught other physicians for the first decade of my career. But most importantly, I applied that to my children about you have to learn to put your brain to sleep. And once you figure that out, I think it's an inappropriate coping skill from your younger brother. When he doesn't want to talk to me, he's instantly put himself to sleep. All right, so again, you're supposed to drink this until it runs dry.
So you didn't get backwashed, what they said. Yeah.
Yep, it's a little bitter. Can't wait to tell you about what it is. You can put some water in there while I read the next question. All right, so the next question I have for you, Walker, is that actually it's your turn to ask me a question.
Oh, Sweet. Okay. Here you go. So, you're getting close to 1 million subscribers. You're just kind of steadily marching towards that way, which has been a goal for 10 years now, kind of a big number like that. So, as you're
Well, thanks for noticing.
every time kids will find out that's your mom, and what the heck? Like, yeah. But so as you're getting close to that, you're getting close to influencer status, big influencer status. So now that you've kind of changed your life closer to an influencer and away from being in a clinic every day, kind of having your schedule determined for you and kind of going to this influencer world. Is there anything you miss from the super routinized clinic, or is there anything you're really glad to get away from, or how's your life changed in that way?
Well, yeah, I remember when I got 100,000 subscribers, and my kids thought I was so cool because I got this plaque from YouTube. Now we're about to get a gold plaque if things stay on pace. So yes, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, right? I don't ask for that often enough, but it is, when I look at the benefits of what this influencer path has delivered, I don't know. I know that I was called, that I've been gifted with the ability to teach. I think that's like the core of my being. Even if I wasn't in medicine, I would be finding a way to teach or mentor. It's a really important part of how I run my businesses. I want to have staff that want to be better during that season. So I think no matter what I would have done, I was going to end up teaching. And the only path where teaching was sustainable was one-on-one in an exam room, which is really important. And then as a assistant professor, I was at the university before I got excommunicated for talking about all things they didn't like. And I think the most powerful return is that I never imagined that a book would sell 1 million times, or that this many subscribers would want to lean into something so goofy and sciencey. That I always did feel that message that's happening behind an exam room door shouldn't be so secret. There's this HIPAA thing, and people don't want to talk about, oh, they got to not talk about it. It's HIPAA. You can talk about it all you want. It's the doctor that can't talk about it in a way without your permission, right? And what happens is that nobody talked about it. So these problems, these chronic problems, were hidden. And I did not think about one way to bust through that was to have a YouTube channel. But my first frustration of teaching sleep was, the lecture I put up in 2012 was, I'm tired of giving the sleep lecture over and over again to one person at a time. So I put it up on YouTube, and that was like my first moment where I found a pain point that was relieved by teaching to the masses for free. And so I would never want to give up that power of, look at how much easier it is to teach this many people. But the downside is that I'll go to these events and people are like, I know you. And I'm like, oh, that's so one-sided. In the intimacy of being invited into people's lives, it's what happens as a primary care physician, as an internist. And they tell you stories that are privileged, that are secret to them, and sometimes never told to other people. And I think growing up in a town of 800 people, I'm hungry for real, authentic, intense, intimate relationships that are just not as easy to find that without a clinic like I had before. Now I see patients in the clinic that I personally select, but it's a lot less if you want to do this much on YouTube and on the rest of this stuff. So I do miss it, yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you finish yours?
No, hold on.
You're gonna get me high, and you're not. Oh, yeah. He drank it dry. I don't know if you can hear that little straw, but you're supposed to drink it till the bottom doesn't have any more on it. We're gonna have to slow down on it. I'm gonna be bouncing out of that. We'll tell you about the drink in just a minute. We got a couple more questions here. So, all right. Your next question is that I have for you.
Okay.
All right, when you look, since we've been in Argentina, first of all, thanks for speaking Spanish. It really helps me. Breakfast was much easier with you. We went to an antique market on Sunday, and we shopped around for old things. And then we went to a tango dance lesson last night. We're going to try one more of those yet tonight. Their sleep schedules here are not nearly as strict as what I would like. So it's a good thing we're doing this right now. And then we're going to go to a tango lesson. I want to know what you think about like the people here in Argentina compared to the people in America.
I think it's a lot like the Midwest, Sioux Falls. I go to school in Kansas, so a lot like Sioux Falls, Kansas type, because it's a rural country, so they're based off agriculture. That's their biggest export. And so you can
hold on. What do they export here?
Agriculture. So
yeah, but what?
Like they're really big on meat.
Chinchillas. Yeah, I learned it's the
chinchilla capital.
Chinchilla capital of the world. There's like
there's a blanket yesterday. It's so soft. What is it? Like 12,000 pesos, dollars. Like, oh shoot!
Don't touch, nobody touch. A little bitty chinchilla is made into a very soft blanket. Yeah, didn't know that. Okay, so what else do we export here?
So beef is a big one.
Of course, yes.
Ton of agriculture. So they have Midwest is this first biggest size of farmable land, and then Argentina has the second. So it's just really nice. And so I don't know. It feels a lot, even in the city. What?
My beef liver capsules.
Oh yeah.
They're from Argentina cows.
Yeah, probably.
They are.
Grass-fed.
Yeah, and the livers from Argentina ranked higher. So I said, that's where my beef liver capsules are. I didn't think about that till just now. We should get a picture with a beef liver. Okay, so they're agriculture based. Okay.
Yep, and so even in the town, it feels blue collar, and so it just, I don't know, it's all the people here are like really, I don't know, really similar to people in the Midwest. When you talk to them, they all kind of like interpersonal connections. A lot of people here go to church just like the Midwest, and so it just feels, I don't know, like it's on the other side, so it's really similar climate. Other side of the hemisphere, but it's really close. I think it's really cool. So I like Argentina a lot. We have square dancing, they have tango, we have, I don't know, probably better beef, but they have beef.
Your grandpa would love it that you said that. Yeah. Well, so do you think they're fatter than us, or do you think we're fatter than them?
Well, a lot fatter than them for sure.
America is, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I kept thinking either the obese people aren't on the street, and so I can't see them, or America's a lot more obese.
Yeah. Well, they have toast at some meals, but most of what you eat here is meat, so it makes sense that you're eating a lot of meat. They eat their dinner really late though. Supper's at like 11 p.m.
Oh my goodness, it's terrible.
I don't get how they do that.
I'm like, this is not going to work out for me. We did not change time zones too much when we traveled, but
we tried eating at 5 and nobody was
open. I'm like, what? Okay. Yeah, so let's think. Argentina to America, those are pretty good. And then what did you think of our tango lesson last night?
Oh, it was really fun. It's way different than square dancing because there's not as many twirls, and it's all about stepping, and we had really good teachers, so it was cool to learn. It's like,
yeah, your dad.
Stuff about pressure.
Right. I'm excited to go back, try that again. We're definitely whatever the notch is below novice, or maybe it's below beginner. Yeah. All right. I only drank half that time.
Well,
so
no, you got to finish it.
All right.
Okay. So my next question for you. Let me think. Which one do I want to start with? Let's start with fruit. So one of my friends that reads your book or anyone that I ever talked to about keto starts with fruit. So do you still have the same stance on fruit?
I have one of the videos that we put out. It's not too long, and it's really old, I think, like a few years old. The title is Fruit is Evil. And I even think I refer to it as something biblical, like it tricks you, especially today's fruit is much sweeter. It's not real fruit. It's genetically altered sugar. Honestly, for the people watching here, for sure, do I let your dad get away with fruit every once in a while? Yes, because I'm happily married. But he's been around a long time and he knows the rules, and but it really is hypnotically, I would still call fruit evil. It says it has a great marketing because it's healthy and it's got pretty colors and people think it's so awesome, but I'm not overly excited about buying fruit and putting it in my house again. Yeah. Maybe if you give me grandkids someday, I'll think about it. That's a long way to say. So I have a couple of questions for you yet. So first of all, I don't think we said that you've had another success that we're celebrating here, which is he's been accepted to a few law schools, and he's still figuring out which one he's going to say yes to. So that's a big congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know. We're not done yet, but I got to figure it out. So.
All right. Well, it's nice to have choices, and your hard work has been really. We were most proud when you did door-to-door sales, because if nothing else, you have a job that you could do. Your brothers are actually there right now doing door-to-door sales on their spring break. Yeah, well, that's
got one over on them. My dad's naked to go knock.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there with them. So the next question I would just have is when you look at some of the habits that you were pretty good at when you lived with us, and the habits you're not so good at, what do you think? What do you think you let go of? What were you so excited that Mom wasn't going to watch?
That's tough. I don't know. I probably am not as keto as I would be if I was at home, because it's easy to eat. We got a guy that cooks for us in the fraternity house, and French fries and chicken wings. It's like, oh, this is good. So
those are all off the list.
I know, but I eat good most of the time. But I don't know. I mean, I probably snack a lot more than I would at home, because it's hard to snack when you only got mustard in the fridge. So it's like mustard and sardines and stuff like
that. That's our fridge, not the fraternity's fridge.
And so it's just, yeah. So I always, whenever I go home, it's like easier to find something to snack on. And then when I go to Tampa, it's like, oh shoot, I gotta starve.
He does. He chirps about not eating. Well, Hurricane Homeless has been a little rough, but it's embarrassing, but it's that I have lost like 15 pounds since the hurricane.
Wow.
Because we don't have a fridge, and it makes it really hard to snack at night, and I screwed that up too. All right, so I think my team pitched you a question that I said.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to know till we're on the show. Gosh, I hope it's okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to your questions, folks, after this. So
this one's on the big one, Ozempic. So I heard it's a big discussion in the Dr. Boz community right now. So you always pitch yourself as someone to take people off prescriptions, try to get as many people off prescriptions as you put on prescriptions your first 20 years of medicine. So Ozempic, why are we prescribing Ozempic out of nowhere? Why is this another prescription? Is it going to hurt people, or what's wrong with it? Why are you prescribing it when that was kind of your MO?
Well, okay. So why am I prescribing GLP-1 or incretins? It's a great question. It will take me like an hour to answer it, but the short answer is that the science is impressive. Yes, I don't want people on prescription meds any more than the next one. But this is a hormone. So unlike many of the prescriptions that I write for cholesterol or blood pressure or depression, they are not a hormone. They are they're a chemical that will cause a reaction in their body. But these medications they act like a hormone inside their body. And so many of the people that have been overweight and with this chronic illness for the last 30 years, they come in, and a ketogenic diet saves a ton. It really does push them to the right pathway, but they have to be so perfect. Like when I put them in the 21 day, when they come in the 21 day, and there's this really intense support system around them. They have all of these other people working for the same goal that they have. They're doing challenges with everybody. They're pricking their finger, and their classmates are seeing their sugars and ketones every morning. They do amazing things, but then that support is lesser when that class is over. And what I've seen is a microscopic, so we use microdosing for the starting dose. We use a fifth of the starting dose for some of the patients. And, we're learning what it does, but it's kind of like if somebody had a thyroid problem, I wouldn't not treat their thyroid. I think a better example, if somebody had a low testosterone, and you said, okay, yes, if I put you on a ketogenic diet, if you work out, you are going to raise your testosterone, but the first 9 months to get that testosterone out of the ditch is going to be really hard. That's true. But with that medication, it kind of resurrects or like primes the hormone that they're missing. I think the other part is how, so I'd been on the tipping point of whether or not to push it, suggest it to patients. And then the data in like September of last year came out about reversing some of the chronic brain disorders like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's when they were on it. And it's in phase 2 trials, which means that the next generation of these it's not out in phase 3 trial is going on right now. It's not done yet, but the doctors from the front lines they fill me with hope that this drug is going to be. I mean, when a patient comes in with Parkinson's, I want them on a ketogenic diet. I want them high ketones. But even with all that, you can see they're going to struggle. They're going to really struggle. And 25 years of treating broken brains, and I've never won against Parkinson's. And it wasn't until I saw some of the data that I didn't think it was possible to win. I think it's possible to win now. And ketogenic diet is still the baseline, but especially for those with advanced disease already happening, I just think it's a beautiful tool to offer. So it's not for everybody. I don't want to take it, but I do have patients that I think should consider it. Sweet. All right. So let's go to a couple of, we've got your questions piling up over here. So let me do this, see if I can push all the right buttons. Here we go. I want to show you guys something. First of all, if you go to our website, we have a pop-up that's going to come that I'm going to show you in like 2 seconds here, because we have one of our products that has an expiration date that's coming up, and we have probably about just a few dozen of these BHB, raspberry BHB tubs that expire. I think it's the end of May, maybe it's the 1st of June, but we want to get rid of them. So for 3 of them, if you put 3 of them in the cart, it will charge you only $120, which is like more than half off. I mean, it's like you're getting the cost of each of them is like $70. So for 3 of them, so yeah, you're getting a lot of money off. Don't do math on live television. I do want to say there's one more thing that I said last week that wasn't quite right that I want to show you guys. So as you know, the Dr. Boz Favorites page gives you several of the things that we are helping with. We have this page set up that Dr. Anna Kabecka and I are going to do a live, like, not as debate, but a discussion on female hormones and how she thinks about them and how I think about them. It's free. It's going to be on her platform. And if you want to sign up for that link, just go ahead and click on that Magic Menopause and fill out that form. And she will send you the link for April 7th, I think, is the right date. I'm excited about this. I have learned a lot from Anna Kabecka. She's an OB-GYN who is in this space of how do we help them without getting them on more medications. And anyway, I really encourage you. The only people that will be invited to that. So again, it's not censored. That's how we can talk about some of the things that I cannot do on this YouTube channel. But I think you'll find pretty good. Yeah, if I was you, I would be listening to this discussion. I'm excited for it. I'm leaning in for it. I've got some questions saved for it. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to the questions. And we have some good ones here. So if you haven't typed in the questions, Walker's going to help me answer some of them that he might be able to answer. But I'll take the ones that I'll answer. Okay, let's go to questions. Here we go. Betty writes in and says, what is the best course of action for a keto person diagnosed with osteopenia? All right, so I'm going to answer this where our heads are here. Osteopenia is that where your bones are starting to get a little weaker than they're supposed to. It is actually a diagnosis made by a test. My husband says if you want to die in America, you call the doctor the day before the patient's going to go see them, and you tell the doctor, you accuse the doctor of being lazy. And then the doctor orders more tests, and then they get more diagnoses, and then the diagnoses turn into procedures, and that's how people die. So I am not making light of the diagnosis of osteopenia, but I do think it is overdiagnosed. And if I had osteopenia, I would be using sardines Why would I recommend sardines? Because the best calcium is the most absorbable calcium, and that's not the pill you take. It is in real whole foods, and nothing beats the bones of a fish for absorbing the calcium. But most importantly, osteopenia is because the muscles are not pulling on the bones enough, meaning weight training, weight bearing, or activities that have weight. I was listening to a podcast the other day about how much you can improve the tension between the muscle and the bone. So it's when the muscle pulls on the bone is when that bone gets harder. So they had ruck packs on these women who just would walk up the stairs and down the stairs, up the stairs. Their walk had some height, but they had a ruck pack on, and how much their bone density went up when doing that. And I have never thought of that, but it makes sense that now you have weight that's, again, pulling the bone and the muscle, and it's that tension that increases the bone turnover. I think I explained that in a way that...
It's good, yeah.
Okay, all right. The next question, I don't know if I know. You might want to Google this on your phone. Let's go back to questions and say, I'm going to let him answer. Are sardines high histamine? I don't know that I know the answer to that. I'm going to go to, does drinking ketones decrease the amount of ketones in your body that your body simultaneously makes? In other words, if you are making ketones naturally and you drink ketones, will your body stop making ketones until it uses the ones you drink? No. So great question, Randy. I'm going to answer that while Walker looks up he Googles the other answer. So ketones in circulation. So just take those raspberry ketones, that is a BHB. If you swallow that, you prick your finger, you're going to see ketones in circulation. If the ketones, when I'm fasting, in fact, when I come to my live and I check my finger at the beginning and then I check my finger at the end, which I'm usually really good about, but I haven't been probably for the last 3 weeks, but you can see that if I start the show and my ketones are like 2.3 and I am drinking ketones during the show, maybe by the end of the show, they're 2.6 if I'm lucky. Meaning raising ketones when you have high ketones doesn't change much. What is the biggest hack for swallowing ketones is when people are in the ditch or they make very low ketones. Like my Parkinson patients who are just struggling to get ketones higher. We know that when we put ketones in circulation, exogenous ketones, this is Dom D'Agostino and his team have put a lot of research into saying ketones in circulation beget ketones, meaning it asks the liver, hey, make more ketones. And I think one of the other places we see really good evidence of that is when we do the sardine challenge in our 21-day. We have 200 people that are trying to get their ketones to rise, really give a good stimulus to their metabolism. And so we can see the morning fasting ketones rise each day of that sardine challenge. But what's powerful is the day after the sardine challenge, the ketones are the highest. Meaning when you start to have a liver that's producing ketones, that advanced ketogenic state is easier to maintain because of the signal where ketones in circulation tell the liver to make more ketones. So when they've fallen off the wagon, if they've been on vacation, if they've just not made ketones in a while, if they've been at college a while and want to get back to the ketogenic diet, ketones in circulation it's a great beginning. And it does suppress appetite was the other thing. Like if people are trying to lose weight, it really does suppress their appetite.
So this says that most canned
Hold
fish.
on. What's the source you're reading?
I read a couple. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. This is from PubMed, and they did a study in 1997 in Egypt. But these canned fish are generally known to have high histamine. But this says locally canned sardines are shown to have extremely high histamine, and imported sardines have lower histamine. So if it's locally canned, I guess it's
good thing we don't live in Sardinia where they can them, or Egypt where they can them. There are no canned sardines in America. I actually tried to brand some as the Dr. Boz sardines, and I wanted them to be American made, which is when I learned we no longer can sardines anywhere in America. So I said, forget it, I'm not doing it.
But they say all canned fish have
some,
high histamine, like avocados and some other stuff too.
Here's what the question I think is asking too, is that high histamine histamine is an allergic response. And when we take people through the 21 day and we look at, some of the people are truly allergic to fish, and we go through and teach them how. But when people have very delicate white blood cells, they're fragile. Their reaction to allergies or autoimmune issues are they're more reactive. You'll see that certain foods can exacerbate that. I find that when they are, the more advanced their ketogenic state, the less the histamine response. And I could go on about this, but I bet it's going to answer the question for like one person out there. So I'll just say, I would still push people to use a sardine. If you think you have a histamine reaction that is part of your allergy system or part of your autoimmune response, and you think, oh, I can't do sardines because they are high in histamine, I think you're missing the point. When you look at the biggest power against a histamine response, it is lowering the blood sugar, raising the ketones, which overall decreases that cytokine response, which is like COVID was cytokine response. The body responds too much and it swells and does really awful things. That is a histamine, that's the churn. The antidote for that is a high ketone, low glucose, and you hardly can find a better food to do that than a sardine. But yeah, good question. Let's go to the next one and go back over here to our questions. And Cam Ellis says, can different lots of ketone strips give different readings? A new box of strips had readings way different than I expected. When compared, they were not reading near the same as the old ones. Okay, so the key to that question is actually, is your brand of ketone strips, are they individually packaged? So as you might know, 4Care used to be my #1 go-to for ketone strips. They were pretty reliable, and then they were pretty affordable. Keto Mojo won the race on this with some of their improvements and just commitment to quality, that I had to do some humble pie there and say that Keto Mojo is a better, more accurate strip than 4Care. And one of the things that's really powerful is how much the oxidation or the exposure to air will decrease the quality of that ketone strip. So there's nothing more irritating than patients sacrificing, pricking their finger, getting me data to find out that the data is not right, like the strip has gone bad. So yes, Cam, you can find that some of the strips do get worse with time, but other strip, if they're individually packaged, which is why I just go to Keto Mojo. If you go to that Dr. Boz favorites page, I don't think you can find a cheaper kit than the one I offer with that discount code there, Dr. Boz discount code. And it's because I really love this company. I think they are great. They give a ton of energy and research to studying the ketogenic diet. And as many of you know, that we use their dashboard for our 21 day, and they're a really good company. So that would be what I would be worried about, is that they went old because of oxidation. And individually packaged ketone strips are kind of a pain in the butt to open, but they're better. Okay. So before things go too far, do you want to tell them what we're drinking?
It's a yerba mate. Makes you feel like a cow.
All right, so hold up the package. We have a couple more questions here, but I'm gonna. It's very bitter, but there's no sugar in it. So can you, they can see it, right? Yeah. So is the word yerba mate on there? Oh yeah, up there. Yeah. It's Y-E-R-B.
Y-E-R-B-A.
Mate. And what does it smell like?
Alfalfa, like hay bales.
That's what I think too. It smells like alfalfa. Put some more water in there. We can have one more round of this before I'll answer questions. And it is.
They say it's 1/40th of a cup of coffee. So.
Yeah, the caffeine is 1/40th of a cup of coffee. So they often talk about.
They say it's more caffeine, but it affects like 1/40. I don't get it. Might be some voodoo science.
Well, we messed up a few things because you're not supposed to get the leaves wet on top, and Walker totally screwed up.
I don't think it makes a difference.
I don't know. And then the straw at the bottom, I don't want to take it out because it'll get all, oh, grab that straw. Show them what that looks like.
Well, this one has a different filter. That one has like lines. This one has like
Yeah.
a spoon.
Pull this
So,
over there, yeah.
so the leaves don't get in there, but you still get leaves sometimes.
And they can taste it, yeah. So
I think black iced tea is better, but.
Yeah, well, and you're supposed to drink it dry. That's why you can pass it back and forth because there's not supposed to be any backwash. But by this part of the pot, I'm thinking, okay. All right, let's go to a couple more questions. I mean, call it good. All right. H2O Sprite says, blood work shows vitamin D 127. Could this high level be due to all the fat breakdown during weight loss? And should I be worried? So I'd want to know, H2O Sprite, are you supplementing? Because I have seen this high of a level when I have a ketogenic person who's losing a ton of weight and their vitamin D ends up in circulation. But if you are supplementing and your number gets in the 3 digits, you can probably lay off the supplements for a while. It's not going to hurt you, but it's probably not wise to show this to your doctor because, I mean, if they just read, it's not going to hurt you. It's just not you're not getting much benefit of it being that high. Minimum level, remember what we used to look for when we did this contest? So before college, before school, we would have all the kids and mom and dad check their vitamin D, saying, your brain needs vitamin D before you can go to school. So I'd prick their finger and we'd send them all in and see who got the best vitamin D. You and I did not win. 50 is the minimum level. And yeah, your dad's a lot better at supplementing than we are, so he won on that one. But yes, I have seen numbers that high when they are losing a lot of weight on the ketogenic diet. However, if you're supplementing, you can probably back off on the supplements for that one. Donna, we have a couple more here. Donna says in her question, oopsie daisy. Let's see. If I wake up at 4 a.m. every day, fall back asleep at 5, and then wake up again at 7, which is the time to take glucose ketone test? So that wake up at 4 a.m. is probably because of a cortisol spike, which is more genuine. I wouldn't take points off for checking it after the 7 o'clock wake up, but if you do go to the bathroom at 4 a.m., I would go test off in the toilet and check what your ketone glucose is at 4:30, compare it at 7. Most people, if they've had the 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep by 4 a.m., that's going to be where they should stay awake, actually. I know people don't like to hear that, but that is true. They should stay awake. Resetting a sleep to get you all the way to sleep until that 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 or whatever, you get the 8 consecutive hours of sleep, is to push you back, not go to bed and wake up at 7, is to stay awake when your brain wakes up. Because that whole hour of being awake it's almost always due to cortisol. All right, Angelina says, hello, my husband is going to have chemo this Thursday. He is fasting on sardines. Can he still fast after chemo? Yeah, so when I look at some of the recommendations for people who are using a ketogenic diet to help them with their chemotherapy or help them through a surgery, the key metric isn't the length of time that they fast. It's, did they get a good Dr. Boz ratio? Did they get high ketones with low glucose? And so, Angelina, if your husband's Dr. Boz ratio or GKI, Dr. Boz ratio, if it's less than 20, that's really where you want to keep it. Not only for the time leading up to the chemotherapy, but even if you can have the menu that keeps those ketones high, glucose low after the ketogenic diet, you're going to find the best benefit for that. Good question. All right, last one, Walker. Then we can say you've spilled your social capital for. Nobody put any questions in here for you. You should scroll and see if there were any.
It's okay.
Okay, you don't want to see the questions for you. Okay. When you fall off the program, Lise, I've had this happen to me, so no shame in that. Just great to hear the question. Why don't the tricks to get back into ketosis not work as well? It's so much harder to make the metabolism switch back to fat adaptation. It is very true. It's why if Walker moves home for the summer, I'm sure we'll get him back into ketosis, but it's going to be a little bit for him. He's definitely out of the family nest and not doing nearly the level of ketones. When you fall off the ketogenic wagon, the good part is your metabolism when you were making good ketones and the glucose was low, your metabolism is better. And for 6 weeks, you get the benefit of being a little better. It's just that if you're caught with insulin resistance, you don't get to see the benefit of that. I'm just going to stand up because my chair feels like it's sinking. You don't get to see the benefit of that ketogenic metabolism burst when you look at insulin resistance with mitochondria. So when people go on the ketogenic diet, I celebrate, hey, you have 6 weeks of improved mitochondria, of really taking the benefit out of the ketogenic diet. And those mitochondria are going to perform for you for at least 6 weeks. But when they fall off the wagon, the insulin, the hormone, really does flood through their cells again. And unfortunately, the insulin wins. And so when you go to push that insulin back down, you really have to be strict and follow that. You got to follow the numbers. You got to follow the numbers to get back on the wagon. That means, I don't think there's any better way to get back on the wagon than a 72-hour sardine fast. Again, make sure to follow the rules with that. When you start a water fast, you start the timer when you finish eating. When you do a 72-hour sardine challenge, you start the timer with the first bite of sardines, and the 72nd hour, you must eat the last can of sardines. You have to cap both ends with a can of sardines. And when you follow the rules, it's an incredible reset. You might want to drink ketones while you do it. There's one way to make it taste better. All right, we got 2 great questions. One from a very special person that's asking questions. Adam says, "Is he the wrestler?"
Nope. That's my little brother.
That's his little
That's
brother.
Not me. No. When he was way smaller, I'd always say, "You're not that good at wrestling." And I would fight in the bedroom, but no, he's a lot better than I am now.
He does not say that anymore. No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chancellor, thing 3. We got thing 1, thing 2, thing 3. So what was your sport?
Debate.
Mm-hmm. And who is your favorite play toy?
I don't know. You?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like anyway. Probably not true, but when he loves to argue. First grade, loves to argue. And one of our favorite people in the whole world, Walker.
Aunt Peggy.
Aunt Peggy. What is your favorite college activity?
So there's a lot of these. Probably my favorite one to talk about is KU has the famous bell tower, the Campanile, World War II Memorial Campanile. And I was with a buddy one day, and we were trying to think of a fun class to take, and we found out you can send an email, and you get a key, and you get to go all the way up, and you get to play it, and the whole campus gets to hear your wrong notes. So
when you practice this bell tower, everybody hears you. Like,
yeah,
oh,
it's pretty cool. It's like a 15,000-pound bell is our biggest one, and you send an email, and I'm not even a music major, and Dr. Burkout, the awesome Campanile player, gets to train me once a week, and I don't know, it's really cool that you can just send an email and do something like that at KU. So
he got invited to be part of the Campanile Guild.
Carolina Guild. I'm a associate, not a member yet, so working my way towards that. That's the big one.
I will see the day that happens, but I guess those piano lessons played off a little bit, huh?
Maybe, makes them up.
All right. Well, thank you guys for a wonderful hour. We will enjoy the rest of our time. If you have any recommendations for Buenos Aires, I will be watching these comments over the next couple of days, and we're here for the next 3 days. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the good questions, and we will see everybody next week live on Tuesday. Bye.
Thank you.